Okay, welcome back to Docrides. I'm going to take the Road King out for a spin. I posted a short the other day, kind of explaining what had gone on with the Road King. I took it in. I needed new front brake rotors, and God help me, they lost the keys, and it was my dad's bike. I inherited it after he died, and I only had the one key. So the ignition works because they hadn't locked it. I'm just going to restart the video in case the audio had to adjust. So there may be a little gap here. Okay. Looks like we're going. Yeah, so I needed some work done on this bike. I'm a little bit ashamed to admit this, I don't change my own oil or anything. I'm just desperately worried about screwing it up. I know I could do it. I'll watch YouTube videos, and I do surgeries on people that are really complex. So so I'm sure I could handle the oil change, but it can be a little bit messy, and I used to do it on the dirt bikes and stuff and make a hell of a mess, and then I never knew where to dispose of the oil, which is a really poor excuse when I'm saying it out loud. But also with these bikes especially, I'm worried that I won't tighten the filter the right amount, and then I'll end up in a conundrum with oil leaking out and I won't notice, and the engine will blow. I don't know. I imagine all the worst case scenarios. So yeah, I have not been doing my own oil changes on this bike or the Goldwing. The DRZ 400 that's in the garage, it has a different kind of system. The oil actually goes inside the frame on that bike. Anyway, just a little nerdy motorcycle fact for you. I'm not sure where we're gonna go. I just wanted to go for a little slow ride and say hello and say thanks for subscribing and all that stuff. Yeah, so oh yeah, the upshot of the key the key situation was this. So Mom and Dad lived in that house that Mom is in still. He died in 2018, and that's when I took over this bike. And I had one set of keys. I found them in his motorcycle jacket. This is really kind of a strange story. So I found his keys, and I've been using that one key, the one Harley key, since 2018. Well, I mean, he died at Christmas, so I picked up the bike in 2019. And I just figured I would never find the other key. But when it turned out that they had lost the key for this, I called Mom and I just said, is there any chance, do you have a bowl of, keys anywhere, spare keys? Could you look and see if there's a Harley Davidson key in it? And so she looked, and sure enough, she found the key. It was right on top. What's it been? 6 years. So 6 years, well, 5.5 years later, after he died, it was the first key on the top of the bowl. She called me back in 5 minutes and said, oh yeah, it's here. That stuff never happens. When I lose things, I don't find them for years. Anyway, so there was an extra key. So I figured out that you can take the backing off the key, and there's a little number etched in it. And if you give Harley Davidson that number, they'll send you a new key. You get that number plus $50. But that's a hell of a lot cheaper than changing the ignition on the bike. So that's what I did. I ordered a new key today, based on that. And so the key is no longer lost, and this bike is back in action. And I'll probably take it to work if it's not raining. I don't know. And then the other thing is that the Goldwing, so it had switches. It has 2 micro switches in the front, no, in the clutch, and 1 in the front brake. And those switches kind of, I don't know, they key some certain electronics things in the bike and that kind of thing. And what happened was I was getting a hill hold assist error. I'm going kind of slow for here, I don't know. I was getting a hill hold assist error, and it turns out that those micro switches can go bad, and they're not very expensive, so I had to take it in to get them changed out. And apparently it's a fairly easy job. I might have been able to even do it myself, but again, like, call me paranoid, I'm just a little worried I'm gonna end up killing myself by making some terrible mechanical error on the motorcycle and ending up dead because of it. We'll go in this way. I feel like I've taken you all on this ride before. I'm just putting around. I don't want to get going too fast. I don't want to go on the highway, chiefly because I don't have a windshield on this, and I'm not sure if there will be a ton of wind noise in the helmet mic or not. You guys have been super helpful in the comments, by the way. Everybody is like giving me good advice on how to get the microphone setting correct, and I think it's gotten better. I did a video on the Yamaha Viking. That's like a side-by-side that I have, just because I wasn't home and I figured I might as well make another video. And I wanted to talk about the fishing camp and that kind of thing. But in that video, I wasn't using this microphone. This is the Purple Panda mic. I was using this cheapo gooseneck mic from Amazon, and it's, you know, functionally it's fine. It's not as good for sure. And at the beginning of that video, the mic actually fell out of the helmet and I didn't notice. So and I was editing on my laptop, and I don't really know what I'm doing, so it ended up being kind of a little bit of a confusing start to the video. But if you're interested in kind of ride-alongs and story time and stuff like that, yeah, that's not a bad one to check out, because it's kind of an interesting story about how we came to own a fishing camp. Yeah, so my vacation was nice. I was off for the last 2 weeks, and I spent the whole time, almost the whole time, up in Miramichi. I'm a huge fan of salmon fishing, and I love animals. I'm an animal lover as it is. I love seeing moose and bears, and not up close, mind you, but you know, I love seeing them, and I really love salmon. Like, I love seeing them, and I love, you know, catching and releasing them, basically. But I got skunked the last 2 weeks, and I suspect like there's this big, I don't know, there's always all these fights going on in New Brunswick. One of them is between the First Nations and the province. Everyone always hates one another. I'm going to turn left this time, because last time we went straight. I did do this ride before, but not this one. So New Brunswick, you get like French-English divide because we're a bilingual province, and the English and French are always fighting with one another. And then you get the First Nations and non-First Nations divide, and we're always fighting with one another. The First Nations actually are suing the province for all of the provincial territory. So like, there's the Micmac band and the Wolastoqey band, and between them they're suing the province for the entirety of the province. So I don't know what happens if they win. Like, I don't know. I assume we'd be paying property tax to them. I'm not sure how it would work. I'm kind of, it's a little bit frustrating anyway. Like, I just wish we could all get along and find a way to get along. That sounds like a cop-out, but I don't hate people. I understand there are two sides to every argument, but the saying you're not part of Canada and all that stuff. Well, Canada does a lot for them too, right? They like, you got to look at it both ways, like healthcare and education, all that stuff. Like, but if it was their tribal territory, and I don't know, why am I even getting into this? Well, the reason is there's this big dispute going on right now, and I guess now I read this salmon fishing blog, and one guy said that they had netted, like the First Nations are allowed to net Atlantic salmon, a certain number of them, I guess, every year, but for everyone else it's catch and release, and you're only allowed to use a rod and that kind of thing. But I guess out of protest they had put nets across the entire mouth of the, I don't know, Cascapedia River, but I'm not sure if they've netted the whole Southwest Miramichi River too. I don't know, but I wondered if that was why I never even saw a fish. Like, I never saw one jump. Often you won't catch them, like that's just salmon fishing, but you will see them. I didn't see a single fish in July. I caught one May 24th. That's the only one I've caught this year. Well, no, that's not true. I caught some spring salmon. So what happens with the salmon is they go up the river, like in the summer and fall, and they spawn upriver, and they stay in the rivers over the winter, and then come back out to the sea in the spring. And if you fish with like flies that look like smelt, basically, or like a good meal in the spring, like big flies, you can catch them in the spring, and I find it just as much fun. I don't know. The summer ones are harder to fight. Like, they're really strong. By the summer, they're coming in from the ocean. They've been eating fish. They're tough. Oh, shit. Look at this. I hate driving in fucking dirt on one of these bikes. Yeah, we'll just go slow. Hopefully you're not about to get a crash video. God, I hate driving in dirt. I'm gonna go even slower. This is brutal. There's no one behind me though, thankfully. Oh, it's washing out. Good Lord. This is gonna end badly if it doesn't end soon. Oh my. This is not good. It's really loose. It just looks like it goes on forever. Oh my gosh. I'm in first gear. I hope I don't wreck Dad's bike here. Oh shit. Oh man, this is tough. I'm not gonna talk for a second. I'm just gonna concentrate. Good grief, what are they doing? At least put down like semi-solid, oh man, rock piles on an 800-pound Harley Davidson. Oh no, it's so washy. I'm sliding all over the place. This is insane. Well, how did I get into this? I gotta bail out. I don't know how much longer this goes for. Oh, this is crazy. Oh my gosh, this is the whole road like this? Holy moly, I think I see the end of it if I can just keep going. I've got the clutch in. I'm just rolling. Oh man, don't crash. Please don't crash. Don't touch your front brake in this shit. That's my experience. If you're looking for the thing not to do, it's to grab your front brake. Oh, it's really washy. Oh my gosh, I'm sliding. Okay, let's go. Holy fuck. I'm not coming back that way. Now, the funny thing is, I was just thinking how I don't want to swear in these videos. I feel bad every time I drop an F-bomb or say shit or whatever. Holy shit. That was... It's not going to work. You may notice I swear a little bit. I apologize. It's just the way I is. You are what you is, and you is what you am, in the words of Frank Zappa. What was I talking about? Salmon fishing. Alright. Means Cove, Kingston. Let's go to Kingston. Oh no, let's go to Means Cove. I don't have time to go to Kingston. What I've managed to do here is do a loop. For no reason at all, because I took the wrong turn. God, I suck. There's a missed shift right there. See, I'm just not good at riding motorcycles. That's my biggest issue. Yeah, so anyway, what I was getting at is I'm not sure if the river was netted. That may be part of the reason why I didn't see any fish whatsoever. I saw nothing jumping. The temperatures were a little warm, but not like overwhelmingly so. Usually you won't catch a fish over if the water's over 72 Fahrenheit. It was around 68 to 74 depending on the day. So what we did do though, we took a inner tube. Chrissy came up and we brought a couple of inner tubes and went tubing for 6 hours, not knowing it was going to be a full 6 hours. We got in at Doketown and got out at Blissfield, and let me tell you something. You have to reapply sunscreen to your feet and ankles, as it turns out, if they're dangling in the water. It does, even though it's waterproof sunscreen, it does not adequately cover you with just a single reapplication at the 3 hour mark. So I burnt the absolute shit out of my ankles and feet and I had sandals on, and I have perfect white stripes on red feet. I felt like in that episode of The Office where Michael George Foreman grilled his foot. That was me. That's how I felt like I grilled my foot. Anyway, it's all good. It's still really painful. That was on Saturday. Today is Tuesday. I thought it would be better by like Monday. Oh no. Oh no. It's really fucking red and swollen. It's brutal. But at least it's just my feet and ankles. Like my legs were okay. I don't know. It was just the part that was in the water all that time. So yeah, without fishing there, like we rode the side-by-side a lot. I kind of want, I don't know, Jack has a little 110cc dirt bike that I think maybe he took some GoPro footage of. I don't know, he was playing with the GoPro when he was there. So if there's something, I might just clip it on at the end of this. The problem with the Harley is you keep having to look down to see, you know, if your blinker's on and stuff. I do miss having the Goldwing dash right in front of me. The ergonomics of this are nowhere near as good, and it's not sporty to ride. But I don't know, I do love this bike too. Here's the thing: I love like sports cars, and I love luxury cars, and I love trucks and off-road cars. This bike, in the car world, would be like a 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air. It isn't fast, but it's nice to look at. I love this big chrome headlight and these, like, I don't even know what they call them, running lights, I guess. I love them. I think they're really pretty, and I love the like black and silver look and all the chrome, and I love the sound of the engine. It's a nice bike. I don't know, I love it in a very different way than I love the Goldwing, which to me is like a Mercedes S-Class. It's definitely the best way to get around. If you had all the money in the world and you were like, what's the best car, you would just get the best model of the S-Class, in my opinion. I mean, it's everything a car can be. It's fast, it's comfortable, it's luxurious, but it's not a Chevrolet Bel Air. So if you're an impractical person, you ride the Bel Air, you ride the Harley. I saw this thing came up on my YouTube. Now this podcast, oh my gosh, this video series is not about participating in the culture war and all that stuff. Why would I get into it, right? Like, I think the world is crazy enough. We just need like some voices of calm in it. But I did see a thing about like Harley Davidson going super woke on my YouTube channel. I don't know, like it irritates me when it's like, you know, when Gillette did that thing about like toxic masculinity. I found that like abrasive and irritating, because a lot of the things like they're talking about are not necessarily like bad traits, you know, boys being rough and tumble and stuff. Well, here's how I'm feeling right now as the father of a boy. boys have basically been told that they're everything that's wrong with society since I was like, I don't know, when I was in college, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, they were talking about that stuff. And they blamed like us for all of society's woes, and then, you know, like there's this war in Ukraine, and there's Taiwan is like maybe under threat from China, and they're talking about World War III. And who do you think is going to be expected to go fight those wars for the politicians who have been calling us shitheads for the last God knows how many years? A lot of it's going to fall on these kids, these boys. Like, you can't tell them that they're assholes for being boys and then really need them to be boys and step up and, like, embrace their masculinity. Anyway, so I was pretty irritated when that Gillette commercial came out. I won't lie, like, I try not to get rubbed the wrong way about these things, but that one, like, that was really shitty. It was like, but anyway, this thing about Harley going woke and all this stuff, I mean, the way it works, I think, is that, like, it's like Grievance Inc., right? Like, this is a business, and if people can hold you hostage and basically say, well, if you don't, you know, cater to hire our consultants, hire our, you know, do things our way, then we will label you as anti-progressive, or we'll label you as troglodytes, or you'll be unpopular with, if there's a progressive government in place, you won't be able to get contracts with them, etc., etc. Well, then those companies are going to cave, because business is business. Now, they're going to lose money. There's a deer right in front of me. Now, I had a hard time seeing them on camera. I'm going to go slow because they're a little bit unpredictable. Oh, there's a little baby. I had a hard time seeing them on camera because of the wide angle of the GoPro. I didn't realize that because on the last video, I think we went by like 4 or 5 of them, and then I never could see them in the video, really. But anyway, I feel bad. These companies are getting kind of cornered. It's kind of like the mob, you know? They got to do this diversity, inclusion shit, and do all the woke stuff. Oh shit, more deer. See, they are unpredictable though. They run in front of you. I'm gonna give him the high beams. Let's see if he slows down. It's that time of night too where the sun's going down. That's when I find I see a lot of deer. I'm sure I'm not breaking new scientific ground saying that. That's probably a known thing. That place, Brunswick Gardens, up there, I nod my head, you can't see up there. They sell really good trees. Like, I bought some apple trees from them, and they have a good policy where if your tree dies, they'll give you a new one. But one thing I did, I bought a cherry tree, and they said you only need one, that they don't need to, like, cross-pollinate, but no cherries have ever come up on it, so I'm thinking I might go back and get a second cherry tree. I'm thinking maybe they do need to cross-pollinate. But the apples are awesome. Like, I bought one hybrid apple tree that has like 5 different types of apples that grow on it, and one Honeycrisp apple tree. And the Honeycrisp tree, the roots got eaten by a groundhog, which I'm not going to be too explicit here, but it was taken care of quite handily. As much as an animal lover as I am, I'm also a tree lover, and when that son of a bitch ate all the roots off my tree, he met with Mr. 6'5" Creedmoor. Anyway, that's all beside the point. Yeah, the apple trees are amazing. So I replanted that busted up tree, and it's done great. It produced a ton of apples. It just looked like a stick when I replanted it. Anyway, I was talking about this woke Harley Davidson thing. I'm not going to let it dissuade me from riding a bike. I think that's stupid. If you're so insecure that, like, a company saying shit makes you, like, feel threatened to be riding their motorcycle, I don't care. Remember, like, I have a Ford F-150. Ford did this, like, Raptor commercial where, like, the Raptor was all muddy and then it went through a puddle and it was all like rainbow and trans colors or whatever. I don't care. Fuck it. I'm not going to trade my truck in because I care about that stuff. I don't care. I'm not going to shoot cases of Bud Light. I'm not going to probably buy Bud Light, but I don't really care about you know, companies doing that stuff, unless it's like a direct attack. You know, that's Gillette crossed the line. Anyway, enough culture war bullshit. You don't want to hear it from me. Nobody wants to hear it from me. Nobody ever wants to hear from me again, I think. Yeah, more important stuff awaits. Stuff like motorcycles. Yeah, I was going to take the DRZ 400 out for a ride. So, the dirt bikes we have right now are the DRZ 400, which is like dual sport, obviously. We have two XR80s, a 1978 and a 1993, and we've got a that Kawasaki 110, and I actually have a Yamaha TTR 225 from, like, I think it's a 2002 or 2003. So I did keep all the dirt bikes in my mom's place in Shediac. She has a shed there. But mice got into them and tore up the air filters, and I had algae growing in the carburetor of the DRZ. Like, it just wasn't taking care of them well enough. So I brought the DRZ home, and I'm leaving the Yamaha up there so I can ride it when I'm up there. But one thing they've done, like, Shediac is, you know, outside of Moncton, New Brunswick. And, oh my god, how long is this light? I'm really hot. This thing runs so fucking hot. I don't know if when they did the stage 1, I'm not sure. Maybe it's running too lean and that's why it's so hot. Does that sound right? Or too rich? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I'm not a mechanic. But anyway, Shediac is like this super fast growing part of the province, and it had a ton of immigration to it, and so there used to be dirt bike trails everywhere. You could go from Shediac to Bathurst on a dirt bike trail alongside the highway, and it was amazing. But they've cut new roads in and eliminated all the trails, and I don't know what to do now, because I've got a dirt bike with nowhere to ride it. You're not allowed on the quad trails. They've destroyed all the other trails. Oh god. It is so hot sitting in traffic on this bike. New Brunswick is funny. We have like 2 seasons, winter and traffic. They do all the road work. Every summer, every road is the shits and basically like shut down. There's a harbor bridge that connects East St. John to West St. John, and it has been shut down every year, going on 5 years. They keep saying, oh, you know, we're resurfacing it this year. And I'm not sure who's getting rich off this project, but like, I was in Florida once, and in the month that I was there, they went from like going to a construction site for the first time to having a gigantic highway overpass built. And then you come home and it's 5 years to repave a bridge? Are you kidding? I don't understand. Maybe, and look, I'm not obviously structural engineer. Oh god, more of this shit. No, thank you. We're going up this way. So maybe there's more to it that I don't understand, but it just seems like the repaving of the bridge is taking for fucking ever. And there's an annual tradition where the city shuts off via construction every path of ingress and egress from the city itself. And so like every summer, at least once, I accidentally take this motorcycle to work on a day when they've shut off every point of ingress and egress from the city, and I sit in traffic while my patients don't get seen at the hospital for 3 hours, just sweating my balls off. My god, how did I run out of gas? I didn't, but I got half a tank. I just filled this thing up before I took it in to get fixed up. Man, that's so frustrating. The other thing that's frustrating on this bike is an unfixable problem. It's not a big issue, but there's a little rubber, I don't know, gasket that goes around the bottom of this thing, and it must have gotten dry and cracked and broke off, and I cannot find that part anywhere. And I think I'll order a new fuel gauge. There's more deer, if you can see them, I don't know. I think I need to order a new fuel gauge just to get the gasket, which I'm happy to do if I could get something that didn't look stupid. But the only aftermarket fuel gauge I can find is like this like skull with light up eyes, and I don't mind it. Like, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, this bike is like classy looking, and I don't really want to skull and crossbones it all up. I know one of the people who own this big horse paddock, well, not the people who own it, but I think it's their daughter. And I think they own a dealership, a Ford dealership or something. I could be mistaken. I've never actually been to that place. I just heard from a friend of a friend who owned it. I think it might be for sale or it just sold, actually. I remember seeing it on MLS. We were looking at moving from New Brunswick to Nova Scotia. And, you know, I love New Brunswick. It is home. And I have all these great memories here. And I love it particularly. When I think of Canada, this is my favorite place in the country. Easily. And I've lived, you know, I've lived in British Columbia, lived in Nova Scotia, lived in Newfoundland. New Brunswick is home, right? Like, this is what I love. The rivers, the accessibility of nature everywhere. Man, it's hard to beat. But the one thing that drives me crazy here is, well, two things. Taxes are really high. Like, our top income tax bracket starts at, I think it's $200,000 Canadian, which would be like 140 US. And it's, you know, 54%. And then the incomes for the services that we do, like in the hospital, are really low. Like 26% lower than any other province. For my specialty anyway. I haven't looked at all of the specialties, but it's probably similar. It's hard to get ahead here, but like, I'm complaining, but you know, I love it and I have a good life, you know, so I'm, you know, don't cry me a river type thing. I'm just saying it can be a little overwhelming. The other thing is that, like every other province in medicine, what happens is that, you know, every 4 years your governing body, like your medical society, negotiates with the government. This might be a little loud. I'm hearing a lot of wind noise in my helmet, so my apologies if that's the case. Every year your governing body it feels loud. I'm going against the wind now. Negotiates with the government, and so, like, say they gave, you know, 2% per year, which is sort of has been the standard in the past. Well, at 2% per year, everybody gets that. But in New Brunswick, the medical society has its own, like, economics committee, I guess, that's comprised of, like, specialists and family doctors. But since half the doctors are family doctors, they're kind of like, they get, you know, special consideration. And look, I'm not saying they shouldn't get paid more. They definitely should. But I feel like so should specialists. But my specialty in particular, since I started here 15 years ago, has gotten 0%. So I've never had a raise on my fees. And I make good money. Like, it's not terrible. But after taxes, it's starting to feel a little goddamn frustrating, and almost a little bit, in some cases, not worth it when you're paying, you know, 53, 54% on your income, and you're taking home 46 cent dollars, and then everything you spend, of course, there's a 15% sales tax here. Yeah, just a little frustrating. Like, I feel like if I worked less and made less but made more keepable dollars because I shifted toward lower tax brackets, that's not a healthy way to think about it, is it? I don't know. I'm not super old, but I am getting very tired. Like, when I'm at work, I work a lot. This week I'm up at 5 in the morning. I start my work at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I work till 5 o'clock at night, and then I'm on call one in every 4 or 5 days. I'm on call this coming weekend. It's a long weekend here in New Brunswick, and we're so short on specialty, my specialty, that I'm actually covering another hospital too. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm pretty nervous, but at least we got out for a nice drive today. Look, it's going to be too windy to hear anything coming up, and it's probably going to be clipping and sound like hell. So I'm going to sign off now. But have a good day, ride safe, and I'll have some better stories for you next time. Okay, take her easy.
Ow, my cheeks just got absolutely clapped by those ruts.